Welcome to Business on Purpose, the podcast for hardworking entrepreneurs who drive our economy. I'm your host, Barry Barrett, and as a sales leader and business owner, I understand the challenges that come with entrepreneurship. Each episode, I am interviewing business owners who have faced the same struggles you have. Low revenue, a lack of scalability in their sales force. Together, we're going to explore their entrepreneurial journey and uncover the valuable lessons they've learned along the way. From mentors to advice, we'll dive deep into what has helped these business owners get unstuck and move forward towards success. Whether you're just starting out or you're a seasoned entrepreneur, the podcast is for you. Be sure and follow and subscribe to this podcast as we learn from the experiences of successful business owners and navigate the road to entrepreneurship together. Let's get started. So I want to welcome Judy Walter. She is one of my favorite people in the world. I work with her in multiple capacities on the business leadership side of it, and then we've also helped her in the sales side of this. And she does an amazing job and always has, and I've respected her for probably the last 10 years I've known who you are. So welcome to the show, Judy, and I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you, Barry. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. So we'll kick it off really quick. First question I always ask people is, where did you get your start, Judy?
If you're really going far back, I was born into the business, but my dad started the business right after I was born and graduated high school. And I just decided I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I really loved seeing people, meeting people. So I thought I was tired of school, I'll be honest. And so I decided to jump in and help him in the business, get a female perspective into a business that was all men when I came in.
Yeah. So especially in the automotive repair business,
Yes.
that's where I got my start as far as being in business. When was that? And how did you really break from a female and a male dominated industry?
I went into a family business. It was in 1975, right out of high school. Late 70s, still coming off the hippie era and so on, and going into more of, but the male dominance was big, and it still can be, but it's not nearly what it used to be. I just decided to help my dad in the business. There was a lot of things they needed help, needed a bit of a female touch perspective. The garage business was really dirty business, really not dirty as in junky and greasy.
Yeah.
Just clean it up a little bit, look at making it not so scary for other females to come in the front door.
Yeah.
So that's where my start was.
Yeah, that's good. I love that.
Yeah.
And I know you're one of the pioneers as far as females in the industry. And if you follow the automotive industry, it's really big. And so what do you do today? First of all, who was your first mentor as far as a female, or did you have one?
As far as a female, I didn't have a female mentor. There really weren't many females in the industry. I had women I looked up to, but all of them were somebody's wife. So a lot of my early mentors were read books about. But I read a book once, and I don't even, she was a high up executive in Walden Books, and she said, you don't have to be macho to make it in a male dominated industry or in a male world. You just have to have three things. You have to have a keen awareness of yourself, a tough skin, and a sense of humor. And some of my female counterparts don't like that, but I really think it has been very true for me. You have to learn to laugh. You got to know when to cry too, but you have to learn to laugh.
Yeah, that's so good.
At the ignorance of some people, the way they treat you. Probably my earliest mentors was my dad, my father, who started the business. He had a love for business, but he probably had too many irons in the fire and he needed help. And that's where I came in and just took over the whole office part, the whole daily accounting, working with our accountant, bankers, and learning that kind of from the ground up. So I would say my dad was my first mentor, probably.
Yeah, that's so good. And who are you mentoring today?
Right now, I just finished up and I mentored some younger women in the automotive industry, girls that were like not really sure that they really wanted to stick there, wanted to stay there. And I'm so proud of them because the one just won Female Shop Owner of the Year. And when I first talked to her, my advice to her is you and your husband need to decide if you want to truly stay in this business or if you want to get out and do something else. Because I could tell she was a go-getter, but she needed, and the other one was a younger mom. And she today is very involved in her business, but she's still doing the mom thing too, pretty heavily. So I see her as a future leader in the automotive. She's a leader now, but as a future heavier leader in the automotive industry and her family's shop.
That's so good.
And
So
I have a heart for young women getting into the industry. I kind of surf Facebook on some of the groups of young girls. I don't say a lot because some of them really have a chip on their shoulder, but if I sense that they truly want to talk, I'll be glad to talk to them.
Yeah, that's good.
And you used the word pioneer. The first time somebody told me I was a pioneer, I about flipped. I don't know. It sounded like I was really old, but then I said, "Oh, you are old, Judy. What do you want?" But I have a lot of experience. And when I started, it was rough. It was rough. And not that it can't be rough now, but you have no idea what it really used to be like.
Yeah. Well, pioneer is one who goes first, right? And I love it. I never thought about that, right? Words can have different meaning to a lot of people. I love that. That's good. Where have you ever gotten stuck from a sales or revenue cycle in your business? Where have you been stuck, and who helped you get unstuck, and how did they help you get unstuck?
Well, as a family business, you go through my father ran the business that the owner called everything. He had meetings, but he told him, this is what we're going to do. And there really was no back and forth or, well, what about this, boss? What do you think of this? And it just doesn't work today. I really had to look at where the style of leadership. I grew up with a servant leadership background, wanting to really help people and serve people, but somehow I missed the connection that let's ask our staff what they want, because it can give you power, not take it away from you. Because my dad's leadership would have said that takes your power away, and maybe it does, I don't know. But anyway, it works for us. The biggest thing is we tried running the business. We're a pretty large business. We're not just a shop. We do a lot of sales, and we have a quick lube plus a pretty large shop, and we have 26 employees right now. And one of the biggest things is you tend to hit ceilings. And I'm not talking the ceiling where male, female. I'm talking like the ceiling that you just can't seem to help yourself get past it. You can't seem to help yourself next. The first ceiling I think we hit was when I realized that Dad wasn't going to do it. And we had to start calling somebody to look into our family business and look at all the people we had involved and try to decide who's going to stay, who isn't, whose heart is in it, or who's just here because they're somebody's son. And that was in the early 80s.
Oh, wow.
And we worked with a family business consultant for a while. We also worked with a psychologist, a family business psychologist for a while. A lot of eye-opening things, but it started to becoming evident. My father was also in business with his two younger brothers. And after that, it was my husband and I. So my father's younger brothers were of the same thought of him. An owner's there from 7 a.m. till 9 p.m, because that's how my dad started in the business. And I think that's how he got it off the ground. I know it is.
Oh, yeah. It's hard to start a business. It is. It's very difficult. I used to joke with people, I've worked half days, worked 12 hours, 13, 14 hours a day, half days. So that's good.
Yeah. So we worked with the psychologist for a while, and we grew from there to a little more of a business consultant. But these people were not automotive. They didn't work in my realm. They were good leaders. They were good. And we just kept moving further. And we just hit a ceiling. And I tried a coach. I tried this. I tried that. And we tried so many different things, and it just didn't get us further ahead. In fact, sometimes it took us further back. And one time, one of the guys in the shop said to me, "What's the kick of the day today?" Every time somebody goes to a leadership conference, they come back with something, and we all just have to grin and bear it till they get it out of their blood, and then we'll go back to the way it always is. And going back to the way it always is just didn't work anymore. And that's when I called Barry. I called you and I said, I don't, what are you doing?
Yeah, you didn't even know what I was doing, right?
Yeah, I did. And because at the time I knew that you did a lot of with training, and I asked you about it. And then you showed us the EOS process that's just really made a difference for our company.
Yeah.
It's brought group leadership, and that's just amazing what's done.
Yeah, you really gave me what I thought was one of the highest compliments. Is you knew me as a service advisor trainer. I started a sales training company that broke out from not doing so much service advisor training, but other sales professionals. And then I got EOS as an add-on. I thought it was going to be an add-on to my business, and it just engulfed what I was doing. And you called me because we had met years before, right? And
yes.
I remember that conversation because it struck me as I felt honored because I number one, I respect you. And number two, you just said some things to me, and you chose me as a coach aside from my system. And I'm like, man, it's really cool to be called out as a person from people who are respectable. And you definitely are that. And so I appreciate that. And so now, how has EOS been different for your team and your experience from the other types of coaching that weren't working so much?
What EOS did is it gave me the permission, it gave us the permission to go to our staff and say, what do you think of this? It gave us a pattern or a system to follow to get the input of our staff, who is doing everything every day that we're trolling them to do, but they're helping to form it. They're helping to solve issues. They're helping to look at systems, processes, and saying, hey, why don't we try this? Or this is not working, but this is working. Let's try going more toward the what is working. And we've tried a lot of different systems, not systems, but a lot of different things in our shop, working with moving to more of a digital than writing everything down. And our staff's had a lot to do with making that work. And it gives me the freedom that we don't need to be here every day from 7 a to 9 p like my dad used to do.
Right.
And that's all he do.
So one of the things that I used to be an automotive repair consultant, I would tell people what they should do because I've had success over here. I've seen no success over here. I've been mentored, but I don't do that for you guys. So tell me what the difference of your experience between having someone who does know your business in a room, but really I almost refuse to give you my opinion on your business, don't I?
Oh yeah, definitely.
What's the difference in getting a industry specific coach, a consultant, and a teacher that teaching a system? What's the biggest difference in that?
The biggest difference is it's mine. It's ours. We made it. And you give your staff a sense of ownership or a sense of feeling like their opinion matters, rather than the coach said we need to do this, so let's go do it. We're going to do it this way. It's no, let's talk about this. And it makes such a difference to do it a way that is proven. However, you give the staff a hand in it, because you can have 10 businesses in a line, and what works here may not work down the street or in Oklahoma or Arizona or something. And it usually probably won't. But to make a boilerplate, this is how it has to be done, and make it try to fit to every area or every place. It's just, it doesn't give ownership and a sense of things to the staff. And that's the biggest thing that EOS has done for us. Yeah. They care because their opinion matters, and they know that.
We've done that in your sales side of it too, right?
Yes, we have.
We have. Tell me about how Aldo is the sales trainer. How has his sales training been different? And how has he been able to adjust to the way you guys do business and train effectively at the same time?
Okay, there are certain things that perhaps aren't boilerplate in sales that may not work at my place. And he's allowed my staff to say, hey, I don't like that. Why would we do that? I don't want to do it that way. Let's try this way and improve on this way. And that has helped so much. It's as simple as it gets down to ethics. There's certain things we could do, but my staff said, that's not ethical. That's not right. And let's try it a little different way. You get the same pattern, but the customer has a voice in it. You let the customer know that you care and you're just looking out for their best interest. It makes a world of difference.
Yeah. And ethics is a funny thing. It could be ethical for one person and not another person, right? In their viewpoint.
Yeah.
It's, there's a difference between unethical and illegal, right? Ethics are, now there are some principles in ethics that are unbreakable, but there are things that you don't have to get dogmatic about everything. You don't have to, 80%. I just need you to follow the process about 80%. We can be friends from there. And so we introduced an operating system for your leadership team, and then we introduced a system of sales, right? That's the thing. Without a bunch of our opinions and just saying, okay, what works for you? Then we can train on that and lead. That's very good. So you're going to give 3 bits of advice. So number 1, I want you to there are 3 stages. There's a startup stage, there's the growth stage, and then there's the scaling stage. What piece of advice are you going to give an entrepreneur that is in the startup stage of their business?
In the startup stage, it's as simple as look around. Does the area and do the people need what you want to start up as a business? Is it really needed in your area? And that's a real basic thing, but that's the big thing, is make sure that it's really needed. If there's already 7 shops in that same location, maybe that's not what you want to do. Maybe you just want a little bit of a different angle. And my big thing is make sure that it's really needed. And the other thing too is that the people that are starting it really have the time and the energy to do what they really want to do. You can't just love something. You have to eat and breathe and sleep it almost for a while.
Yeah. So you would say you can't just love it. You have to be obsessed about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obsessed.
Yeah.
I think obsessed is what lazy people call successful people.
Yeah.
Right.
That's true. Probably
That's good.
true.
How about now in the growth stage? Now that business is past the startup stage, they're in their growth stage. What advice are you going to give them for that?
My advice is, being in the automotive industry, there are certain things that are very typical for us, but from the top looking down, you need to get input from others in the same position you are, or in the same, like an entrepreneur, not just an automotive entrepreneur. One of the things for me that has been so helpful, that I joined a group of WPO, which is Women Presidents Organization. It's all women that are the boss, basically, or at the top, they're president of the organization. And they're not just real small companies, they're about medium, they're the larger, smaller companies.
Yeah.
And I had hit a wall with with our banking. And I was getting stymied. I was getting like, no, you can't do that. You don't want to do that. And I was talking to this group because I look to them as mentors. And I was talking to this group, and one of the ladies looked at me and she said, if you want to run with the big dogs, get off the porch. And I didn't like it very much when she first said that, because I knew exactly what she meant is, you're running with too small a bank. You just probably need to move on to something a little bit bigger. And I did. And as of today, we've moved away from that, and were able to buy. My husband and I bought the business September 1st, and we were able to find the right financing vehicle. I'm not going to tell you it's easy, but it was rough.
But you had people help you through it, right?
Pardon?
You had people help you through it.
Oh, absolutely. I had people that pointed me in the direction that we went as far as to getting that financing. But you have to look at your growth and then get opinions of more than just in-house. You have to get other people.
I think about the idea that none of us are as smart as all of us, Judy.
Correct. Exactly.
So good.
Exactly.
So now you're in the scaling stage. What advice do you have to people who are looking to scale their business after the growth stage?
Okay, right now, one of the things I always said about my father is he had the grace and the foresight to see that gender isn't going to make or break the leader. It had to be talents and
Mm,
what you like. And he always told me that he thinks that I'm the one that needs to take over his business, even though I have a brother that was involved. But as I look
mm,
back and follow my dad's example, my father's no longer living, but as I look back and I follow his example of the foresight that he had, even though if he was born in 32. So as I look back, I want to have them, I want that said about me 10 years from now. Mom had the grace to step back, let us make our own mistakes. I used his guidelines, but then he allowed me to take it differently than him. And as today, my husband and I are looking to probably work with 5 or 6 more years, but
mm.
our daughter Jackie is coming
Yeah.
behind us. And then we have a leadership team as well that works with Jackie, and we meet with them every week. But Jackie, the last time I was away, she had to do something that she had never done. I always did. And she says, Mom, I know how to do that. I could do that for you. Wow. Okay. Sorry. You please do. So as I'm scaling the business, I'm scaling back. I'm pulling her
Mm,
forward a little bit more and the team forward. One time we were gone and they had to fire 2 people, and they did the right thing,
mm,
but they'd been trained, they were told what to do. And
mm.
so as we look at what they've done and how they can do it, it's just amazing what you can teach people. Wow, did we really teach them that?
Yeah.
I guess we
So,
did.
so the advice to give scaling businesses is to equip your people to make decisions
Correct.
and give a clear direction for what they
Mhm,
need, and then they can make those decisions.
mhm,
And I think that I worry about third generation businesses sometimes because that's where
mhm.
most businesses go to die. I'm not worried about Jackie after knowing you guys and seeing all the support and the leadership team, passing the bus test. If you get hit
Correct.
by a bus,
Mhm,
is it going to make it? And your business
mhm.
has went from not being able to pass the bus test and now it
Correct.
does. And how
Mhm.
long did that take you?
How long did it take us?
Yeah.
We've probably been working on this for about 6 years,
Yeah.
maybe more.
That's good. I love it. So
Mhm.
what's one last piece of advice you would give our listeners based on your experience?
The piece of advice I would give is if you're stuck or you don't know what to do, look in the mirror first, because
Mm,
that's probably where the biggest problem is, or that's where the solution lies. And you probably need to change first.
mm,
I saw this article in an industry magazine, but it could really have been written for anyone about if you have a problem, look in the mirror first. And the first
mm-hmm.
time I saw that, that was like, you got to be kidding me. But the
Yeah.
more I heard that, you keep running it back in your mind over and over. Oh my gosh, you're right. You're right. But as you change, people see that and they're willing to work with you. And
Oh yeah.
that's the biggest thing that's happened with our business
I
is we've been
love,
able to make changes and then get our staff on board. And
yeah, that's good.
it makes such a difference.
I love the saying the enemy is in me.
Yes, for
Yeah.
sure.
So that's the mirror test. Hey, look in the mirror. You're the problem.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I
Hmm.
like to say. That's so
Yeah.
good. Judy, it was an absolute pleasure to interview you. You've got so much knowledge up there. Your heart is as big as anybody I know. And I say this, I do love Judy Walter. And so
Thanks.
I
We love you.
appreciate you so much. Thank you for coming on the show.